So tell me your standouts. I felt good. Okay.
Put me on the spot. Go ahead. You jump.
It felt good to talk about being a Make Love Not Porn star, because
I know.
it's something I've been hella intrigued with. But that, and between that and my erotic stories that I write, this was a what do you call it? Not a bucket list, but I forget what the hell you call it. But this was one of the things I've been wanting to explore. So I got my opportunity to talk about it, and that was really cool. We also got to talk about the Make Love Not Porn Academy, which was dope.
Yeah, and I think it was the first time we've shared with Cindy a little bit about our background with stepping into Make Love Not Porn and porn in general.
Yep.
It's funny because I say it all the time to you, but I'm like, I feel like we're the spokespeople for porn. And I'm like, we did not set out to do that. It was not our intention. It just happened to be one of the places where we started when we had an amazing amount of growth, and then people started talking to us about it. So yeah, I mean, we're an advocate. We're advocates.
That was my intention from the beginning.
I knew it. It was good.
Did that seem all medicine? Sorry, keep going.
Yeah.
I cut you off.
So stick around if you want to learn about Make Love Not Porn and Reuben's interest in it, and Make Love Not Porn Academy and all that good shit.
Yeah, it was really good. We actually talked a little bit about even filming yourself having porn. Filming yourself as your own version of erotica or porn. Which
and the older couple who cataloged, that's such a freaking good idea,
that
man.
is dope. To be able to look back all the way back to the 70s and have your own stuff, and you'd be like, yo, yeah, I made my own retro porn. Here you go. Blah, blah, blah. That is cool.
That is so cool.
When just hearing that, I'm like, I wish we had all our old videos from back in the day. It's be wild. I don't know that I'd recognize myself.
I know.
But hey.
But hopefully we will live a long life, and starting now we can look back and we'll see ourselves as young.
I mean, they say 50 is the new 20, right?
Who says that? You crazy.
I says it. No, but seriously.
I still think we cute though.
I'm your big Rube.
And I'm your girl, Sherri J.
And today we're going to have a conversation with renowned SexTech expert, advertising executive, and the founder of Make Love Not Porn, Cindy Gallop.
Yay.
Hold for pause. So thank you so much for being willing to join us, Cindy. We've been wanting to have a conversation with you about this topic from a not business point of view for a long while. I don't know if we ever told you, but you figure pretty profoundly in our own personal journey outside of work and everything. We used to be Jehovah's Witnesses, which I don't know what you know or don't know about them, but every time we tell people, they're like, whoa, their eyes bug out. And I'm like, yes, yeah, it is definitely something I cringe at every time I think about it. But I know when I initially started my journey, trying to get out of that and deconstruction and all that, somewhere around 2007, I had initially seen an interview with Anne Rice on PBS something. I can't remember what it was. And I saw an interview with her, and what she just struck me. I can't even remember what she said, but it just hit me. And then it felt like it wasn't too shortly after I saw an interview with you. And then not too so long after that, I saw your TED Talk about Make Love Not Porn.
We live in a puritanical double standards culture where people believe that a teen abstinence campaign will actually work, where parents are too embarrassed to have conversations about sex with their children, and where educational institutions are terrified of being politically incorrect if they pick up those conversations. And so it's not surprising that hardcore pornography de facto has become sex education.
And it was what I needed at that time. I can't even say how much it was what I needed at that time. It really hit me really hard. Anyway, I found my way out of the church, yada, yada, yada. And I brought a lot of the information I was finding over to Sherri. Mm-hmm. You can jump in and cut me off anytime you want.
At first I wasn't receptive at all. We were still very much in it. He was, I think, more on the way out than I realized he was. Right. So he brought it up. I was just I heard it as different and I heard it as interesting, but I was at the time I was very anti-porn, anti-anything even remotely close to it. So I was just yep, okay. And I just put it away. And then it's was 10 years later after we left the organization that we started exploring again.
And your
Well, not
site,
again, for the first time.
yeah, and your site was like
One of the
a
first.
core part of that.
Yeah.
Like when we were trying to think of, and I know like you've gotten all this great feedback from people, and a lot of them seem like, you know, caregivers of older young people, like 18, 20, whatever, saying, you know, I can't wait to bring this to my child so they can have an alternative to a lot of the traditional mainstream options in porn, and they have all these great feedback. But for us, we were like, you know, we were grown ass folks. We'd been together for a hot minute. But it was still coming out of that environment. It was like a lot to process. So your site was so like, it felt like such a safe entry point,
Yeah.
and it was hard enough, but your site made it so approachable. Like I feel like I feel like I really can't communicate what it meant to us. Like it was a huge deal, like that we had that. That being said, because there's so many things.
Can I just say, wow, you know, I'm so moved and touched to hear that, guys, because we had not had this conversation before, and I actually had no idea about that, and so I'm deeply moved to hear that.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I don't know why we hadn't had that. I think, well, for me, I do know why. I've always been hella ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Like you talked about like shame and all that, and I had so much shame, but around sex, and I had to do a lot of work on that, but also around like
being in your mid-30s and
Yeah.
just kind of feeling like you can even start exploring anything close to that was, yeah, it was for us very shameful, embarrassing. We didn't want to talk about it with anybody. And now it's all we talk about with everybody. Because you're like, you ain't going through what we've been through.
And that like goes to the conversation you were just having. I just forgot the name of her podcast again. It's Anna Wolf, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
How to get wet when you're dry.
Thank you so much. Yeah, How to Get Wet When You Dry podcast.
Yeah.
You talked about like your journey in your 30s when you were in advertising and y'all were building a site for dating. And then you talked a little bit about coming up in Malaysia. I would love to, if you're open to it, like obviously if you're open to it, I'd love to hear about like what it was like for you to make a transition as an adult, like kind of like exploring something new around sex, but doing it in such a public way, whether it was like, you know, connected to your coworkers and doing the dating thing. Like I would just love to hear what was that was like, because a lot of the folks who were in our audience are also older folks who are like finding their way and all of that. And I'd love to hear from your perspective.
Well, you know, to be perfectly honest, you know, it really, all I've ever done is I've been myself. And so, you know, when I began dating younger men, I told everybody, you know, and obviously when I started to make love, not porn, I told everybody. So, you know, there's never been any issue with that at all. And to be perfectly honest, you know, because with me, what you see is what you get. And I'm very straightforward about that with people. And you know, the fascinating thing is, you know, I work as you know, a consultant, a coach, a public speaker, and you know, the number of business calls I've gotten on where at the very start, you know, I'm meeting people for the first time. You know, someone will say, "By the way, I loved your TED talk." You know, and it's funny. I was asked the other day, you know, uh, how do you feel about, you know, talking about make love not porn in different environments? And I went, you know, honestly, I do a lot of speaking to very like corporate audiences, and I have no compunction about bringing make love not porn into my talks at all. I mean, partly because I use it as a demonstration of I am living my own business philosophies, designing around my own business principles, but also, you know, I have no issue with talking about make love not porn in the most formal corporate environments, because I know that every single person in the audience knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's just never been an issue for me, because it's who I am, and also because it's who we all are. And
Yeah.
and you know, the interesting thing is, and this is precisely the, you know, basis of make love not porn. We are spearheading what I call the social sex revolution. The revolution part is not the sex. It's the fact that we're finally making it social. And honestly, people are so relieved to be with someone who is normalizing all of this, and you can talk about it completely straightforwardly and normally. I mean, people find that a huge relief.
Yeah.
Whenever people find out what I do, the floodgates open because everybody is dying to talk about sex. So, A, in my case, it's never been an issue, and B, I want to, for the benefit of our listeners, just say you might be surprised how much it is not an issue when you just start being more healthily open and straightforward about sex.
Yeah, I think we found the same thing. Like most people have been pretty open to conversations, even like colleagues from the agency world. It's been, I don't know if it's like that they just trust us or it's the way we're talking about it, or if they're just happy somebody is talking about it that they feel comfortable listening to. I don't know, but it's been people have been pretty receptive. We have had people be like, "Oh, I love what you're doing, but we have to make sure it's kind of stays separate from what we're trying to do together over here." But that's more just like their concern about their public image. You know what I mean? But as far as the personal side, they don't seem very fazed by it at all.
No, I don't think so. Like, it wasn't too long after we started this whole journey in like 2018, 19, I think it was. Um, like, I had a presentation at a marketing conference, and it was on brand differentiation. And you were one of the case studies I brought on. She took a topic that's almost often overlooked. It's often overtly put in our face and then simultaneously ignored. She forced us to acknowledge the topic, acknowledge the theme in public and amongst our peers. And so it felt really good to have someone I could like reference in this way, who was living the thing like in a very real way, and it wasn't just lip service to a thing. And then it's connected to sex and sexuality, and to be able to talk about it in a very professional, businessy setting. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, I think once you get out, for me, my experience, once you get out of the box, you don't ever want to get put back in it. And once you start to like remove the shame, you don't ever want to like be held down by it. And so now it's like, I feel like the opposite end. I'm like, pick up my flag. I know where I'm standing at, and it's been huge. It's been huge. So for you, you said you've always been pretty much like straight to the point, no bullshit and all of that. Is there a defining moment that helped you get to that point, or is that just like how you were raised, or did you cultivate that somehow? And what did you do to cultivate it?
No, I mean, it's just the way I am. I can't point to any particular thing. It's just, just the way I am.
Do you have, I know a lot of times people talk about like, because we've been talking a lot about menopause and all of that, because we're hitting, like, I just turned 50. And so like, I've been dealing with this stuff with like low testosterone and all that kind of stuff that for me snuck up and got me. And I didn't even realize it was happening. So like finally getting a name for some of that was been very helpful. And I know on Sherri's side, she's been talking a lot about menopause, and we've been doing so much research the last few years, like learning about how these changes affect us, hormones, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times, like from what we've seen, like they talk about how folks who hit, I think andropause, menopause, they like start to say no more fucks, like no fucks given, and doing the things they want to do. You, however, have been like no fucks given for a very long time. Do you have any advice for folks who want to be like no fucks, who are in like their 30s, or 20s, 30s, 40s, and how to like get to that point if you were going to make a recommendation to somebody?
No, it's. I mean, I get asked this a lot. How can I acquire your confidence? And first of all, I go 65 years of life, but obviously I want to shortcut that process for everybody else. And honestly, what I recommend is, I'm a great believer that everything in life and business starts with you and your values. So I recommend to people, if they've never done this exercise before, take a long, hard look inside yourself and identify what you stand for, what you believe in, what you value, what you're all about. And first of all, doing that actually makes life so much simpler, because life still throws at you all the shit it always will. But you know exactly how to respond to that shit in any given situation in a way that is true to you. And that really is the secret of happiness. Living your life and working your work in a way that is always true to your values. And then the great thing about that is, you know, that is what means you don't need to give a damn what anybody else thinks. Because all that matters is that you are living and working your values. As long as you know you're being true to yourself, who cares what other people think? You know, that's the way to do it.
Now, while I 100% believe, like, agree with you, and I definitely think it's a good way to be, the first thing I'm thinking people are going to say is, yeah, but, you know, bad things happen. Like, what is the risk to that? Like, either in my personal life or my career, what have the risks to being like that been for you? Can you speak? Are you open to speaking to that a little bit?
Zero risks, because, you know, when you operate with complete authenticity and integrity, when you are living and working your values, when you're being true to what you stand for, then, as I said, A, I don't care what anyone else thinks, but B, you know, I am making the right things happen for me in the right way. And that's all that matters.
That reminds me when you said when you're living 100% to your values, you said before you're unblackmailable. And I think that is like, imagine if more
We
people
quote
were
you a
living.
lot.
Yeah, we, as you can see, yeah,
We're just following in your footsteps.
we're using you as a study to help us level up more quickly too. So like, we're paying attention.
But you know, on that, you know, so every once in a while, I will get those, you know, those appalling scam emails.
Yes.
Where somebody writes to you and says, you know, we've hacked
Yep.
your laptop, we've seen the porn you're watching, you know, we're going to, and I look at this and go, have you not seen what I do, what my day job is?
Yep.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's hysterical, you know. So yep, I mean, I'm totally unblackmailable, you know, because there is no leverage in all of the ways that people think there is leverage with other people when it comes to me.
I love that. I'm laughing so hard because we just got one and we were literally just saying that. I'm like, Sherri, this guy saying that he's gonna expose what I'm watching up. I'm like, does he not know we have an entire media server that catalogs? I'm like, what the fuck is this
And we
dude
tell
talking
people
about?
what's
And
on
we
it.
tell people about porn. Like,
sometimes we're like, do we tell people like which specific films we like, or is that too much?
is that TMI? I'm like, this fucking guy trying to blackmail us, the nerve.
Exactly.
So I love that you said that. Like, it's wild though, because imagine if more of us were living way more authentically, you'd have a lot less people walking around us with the stress of being found out, like for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you could just live as you the weight off of your shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, the more we've been living as ourselves, I'm realizing that there's more people like us. You think that you're alone. You think you're the only one who feels a way or is interested in certain things, and then when you start reaching out and exploring and just dipping your toes in things, you realize, oh my God, like no, we're just over here, like our tiny little interest compared to what is actually out there in the world to explore, and it's all just kept under the rug because people are just afraid to talk about it, even with each other.
Yeah, another Cindy Gallop quote: "People being afraid to talk about sex with the people they're having sex with."
Yeah.
And I was just watching. We were just. I think it was an episode of Shan Budrum where there was a girl on there who does sex work, and she was saying something to the effect of one of the reasons why. What was she saying? Essentially, do you remember what she was saying? Like, basically, a lot of men were too afraid to talk to their significant other about sex.
Go to her.
Yeah, so they went to her instead. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, the stuff that sexual shame, the ways it messes with our society, it's like it fucks with our ethics. Like, it fucks with our trustworthiness. Because it's like there's nothing wrong with the stuff that people are into. It's just that I think about a quote. I'm like the king of not like finishing a thought and it running in 500 directions. But I think about a quote a stat that came out that the more religiously repressed people were, the more they had shame around sexuality, and the more it gave, they dealt with things like heavy anxiety, depression, and that kind of stuff. And I think to myself, like, imagine if there was a hell, which is why we're doing the work we're doing. If there was a hell of a lot sexual shame, a lot less sexual shame, how much happier people could be, and how many more people would not be hurting the person that they're with, whether it's for long term or temporary. We'd have a lot less like damaged people out there damaging each other.
Well, this is exactly what Make Love Not Porn solves for. So I have to tell you that your personal story that you shared with me is actually not the first time I've heard something similar, because we have many members and Make Love Not Porn stars at Make Love Not Porn who have come to us because of their own struggles with their religious background and the impact on their personal lives and their relationships. So, for example, two of our Make Love Not Porn stars, Andre Lynn, they were brought up in the church. I've forgotten exactly which form of it. Married young, really struggling. They actually credit me with saving their marriage as well, because Andre, the husband, came across my TED talk, found it a complete revelation. That brought them to Make Love Not Porn. They were blown away by it, and they became Make Love Not Porn stars, and the entire experience has transformed their marriage and their relationship. And in fact, they were a couple of years ago. They were visiting New York, and so they came round to visit me,
Oh,
and we
that
had this
is awesome.
meeting, which was brilliant.
That is so
And then
cool.
yeah, and then we have. And this is actually a common thread. There's another Make Love Not Porn star couple who, basically, again, brought up in very fundamentalist Christian households, came across a mention of us in a magazine somewhere, and this is some years back, and they said to each other, we have to do this to overcome the shame and repression around sex that's been inflicted on us by our upbringing. So they filmed themselves having sex. It was the first time they ever filmed themselves making love, and they shared it on Make Love Not Porn. They found the experience transformative. They've since shared so many videos, and so we are delighted to be able to help in that scenario. And also, obviously, I designed Make Love Not Porn to make it easier for everyone to talk about sex. And so over the years, we've had so many people writing to us saying, you saved my marriage. You saved my relationship. We watched Make Love Not Porn together. It inspired a complete breakthrough in communication. In fact, one couple said, and again, this is because, we are socializing, normalizing, destigmatizing sex. They said, watching the videos on Make Love Not Porn felt so natural and normal. It was as easy to talk about what we watched as anything we watched on Netflix or on TV. And then from having that conversation, it was just one short step to then talking about our own sex life in ways that really improved it. So I'm delighted that, Make Love Not Porn has absolutely proved concept in terms of its ability to help with just these sorts of issues that we're discussing.
Yeah. Wow, I have so many thoughts. I'm like, don't know what I would want to share or not, but I was thinking about,
Whatever you like, I'm cool with it.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
absolutely.
about with what made Make Love Not Porn different for us. And I think what it was primarily for me because I was so afraid of everything. We didn't even watch like nudity on TV, sex scenes on TV, anything like that. And we were like, what is the first thing that we do? Like, what is the safest thing to do that's not going to like blow shit up in a bad way? So
Mm.
I think I was like, we were trying to debate whether we should try movies or porn. And I was like, I think that what led me to wanting to try porn first was that there's dicks in it. Because on TV, it's not. It's all like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
traditional gaze. And I was like, that's just going to
yeah,
make me more uncomfortable and make me more triggered. Where
yeah.
porn, it's equal and even. And we can talk about and both be like kind of in the same, what do you call it?
Vulnerability.
Yeah, same vulnerability. And so then you reminded me of Make Love Not Porn. So when we tried that, it was just like you said, it felt very natural. Like it didn't feel weird or anything. And then it just opened up so many conversations and it made it easy for us to talk about things and talk about what we liked and didn't like and did we like that? How do we feel about that in a safe way that just felt really good versus I think if like we had watched the first thing being like a sex scene in a movie or traditional porn, I think I would have been just like triggered to high hell and just run away.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
it was really good in that way. Like it just works. So like there's so many thoughts, but one of the thoughts that I have is what we were taught is that porn would ruin our marriage, ruin everything, blah blah blah. And I had literally just said I'm done with the church not too long, you know, what was it, like 5 years before. So I basically kind of blew up our life in that way because I'm like, I'm done. This is bullshit. And it's completely, you know, goes counter my values. So, and then we come to this part and it's like, okay, we weathered that, which wasn't easy, but we weathered that. And then it's like porn had been this elephant in the room and all of that. Because we had started exploring in the late 90s when we were very young together. And it was really dope. But after she had got pregnant and all of that, what came on it is all that programming of, well, if you do sin, in the belief system we would come up, and if you do sin, then God will take your child. So that was what kept her tethered to it, because I was going to leave in the late 90s. I was like, because I was really unhappy with a lot of things I was seeing happening. But then that caused us to break up. So we broke up for a very short time. And then when we came back together, I was like, okay, I'm not going to blow that up again. Like and so I I re-immersed myself in the bullshit. But I think the biggest, hardest thing is that they go at women by saying your kid's gonna die, and it's literal.
And you're responsible for your relationship, and you're responsible for everybody else's.
So everything is on her shoulders, and she has to carry all that responsibility and guilt and all of that.
Yeah.
So then we had been experimenting and all that, and then we just took all that, put it in a box, and didn't do it again. So reopening that was like a lot, and it was a lot on her because there's a lot of having to take all that off of you, and you bear a lot of the responsibility. So again, I know I'm gushing about what you've built, but I feel like it's bigger than if you've been there, you know how fucking big it is. You know how powerful what you've done is. For folks who haven't been there, you're so damn lucky. I'm so happy for you. But I know there's other people who are right now where we were. And I tell people about Make Love Not Porn all the time. Like, if you want an easy, relatively safe entry point, and you're worried about it damaging your relationship, go there together. Like, work through.
And if that feels good, then go beyond.
Yeah, and it worked great for us. How does somebody become a Make Love Not Porn star? And I am asking for my own self, because I have been intrigued and curious and all of that for a very long time. So
because I think a lot of people in our space come from some kind of repressed background or whatever. So we found that a lot of people in the space who have become educators or performers or whatever have come from similar backgrounds, and now. Yeah, so it's interesting. Reuben keeps bringing up, I want to be a Make Love Not Porn star. I'm like, I don't know that that's for me.
We would absolutely love that. So honestly, our Make Love Not Porn stars come to us from all sorts of different paths. I mean, a lot start off as members, watch videos, and then think, "Oh, this looks like fun," But what we always say to people is, if you are intrigued about becoming a Make Love Not Porn star, we go, start off by just filming yourselves. And we go, there's no obligation. You don't have to share it on Make Love Not Porn. But, people who've never done this before don't realize that just the process of doing that is transformative in itself. So for example, we hear from couples who tell us, we thought we were really open, but the thing is, when you film yourselves having sex, you have to talk about it. And when you talk about it, the conversation goes places it's never, ever gone before, no matter how long you've been together. And so couples like to say, we thought we were open. Doing this just took our relationship to a whole new level. And that could happen even if, you don't ultimately end up sharing the video with us. So I remember years ago, I was in Brazil. An agency brought us over because they wanted to help us launch Make Love Not Porn in Brazil. And so I was talking to a woman one day about Make Love Not Porn, and I saw her the next day, and she said to me, I went home and I told my husband all about our conversation and what you're doing. And I said, why don't we video ourselves? And we did. And she said, we're not going to share it on Make Love Not Porn. But she said, I had no idea how hot it would be to watch ourselves on video. And that's also a revelation for people. They don't realize, if they've never done it before, that it's incredibly arousing. I mean, you yourself are the hottest thing out, And by the way, it's also transformative for our many solo Make Love Not Porn stars. So I remember years ago, a young man, so he submitted a video, and he had a wonderful intro video where he said, he said he grew up with porn. It massively damaged his relationships with women, his understanding of sex, himself as a man. He came across Make Love Not Porn. He went, oh my God, this is amazing. It's what I've been looking for. And he said, this community is so wonderful. I felt I wanted to contribute to it, but I'm single at the moment. I don't have a partner. So he thought, well, maybe I should video myself. And he had never filmed himself masturbating before. So he did that. He shared his video on Make Love Porn. And he said, in his interview, he said, actually doing this made me love myself more. It enhanced his sexual sense of self, his sexual self-esteem. It made him, those are his words, it made me love myself more. And we hear that a lot from our solo Make Love Not Porn stars as well. So anyone, curious, we say, start by filming yourselves or yourself, see how you feel. And then when you're ready, we would absolutely love your video. And then again, as I say, people have different reasons. So a couple of years ago, a woman shared a solo video. And in her narrative, she said, all my life, I've been told my vulva's ugly. It's too big, it's too flappy, it's too meaty. And she went, I disagree. And so I thought, what the hell? I'm going to make a video of Make Love Not Porn. I'm going to share it here. I'm going to see what you guys think. And we have an amazing community. That video went up in less than an hour. There was a stream of comments going, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful. What are they talking about? We want more, make more. And so the affirmation is tremendous for so many people. We have Make Love Not Porn stars, one couple, lovely video, amazing comments, and both the husband and the wife responded saying, we are so pleased to have these because we're self-conscious about our bodies, that they were larger, and people going, you're the hottest thing out, and so also it's just very, very affirming, and wonderful, by the way, for our members. One woman left a comment in the video saying, it is so empowering to see a woman of my body type being sexual, because in popular culture that never happens. And so, being a Make Love Not Porn star is transformative for you yourself, but also, and I know our Make Love Porn stars appreciate this. You are doing so much good within our community by representing. Combined with, because of the conversation we had earlier, what I think is very interesting too is, so as the only platform that celebrates the real world sex people have in their real world lives, we also celebrate the way that people manage their real world sex lives through real world health conditions. And this is what you will see nowhere else. So we have menopausal Make Love Not Porn stars, who talk about the impact that has on their sexuality, their sex life, how they're managing through it. Our wonderful Make Love Not Porn star, Haya Maya, had a full hysterectomy some time back. Her videos about how she's reclaiming her body, being sexual again after that. A wonderful Make Love Not Porn star, Fern, has vaginismus, much more common for many more people, many more women than people realize. And so, she gets wonderful comments because she is sharing how she is managing through vaginismus, training through it, etc. And a woman left a message just the other day going, this is so helpful. I have the same thing. This is so helpful and so inspiring to me. We have Make Love Not Porn stars with, chronic health conditions, chronic pain. Orgasms really help, by the way. And so so we talk about Make Love Porn as telehealth for your sex life, because the key thing about what I've just said is these are all areas where medical professionals doctors, nurses do not want to talk about the impact on your sex life. I mean, we have cancer survivors, make-up porn stars, and when you're going through chemo, the medical profession focuses on that, and they're too embarrassed to tell you what the impact will be on your sexuality and sex life. And so it's so important it's a wonderful, inspirational, educational job that these Make Love Not Porn stars are doing in sharing their own experiences to help other people.
I think that's awesome. And even with the medicine side, like I absolutely agree with you because so Sherri and I both have chronic health conditions, and so mine I deal with a lot of doctors and stuff, and through that we've done a lot of work around patient advocacy. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about with the patient advocacy side is like, y'all are doing a great job fixing the body, but sex is part of your emotional and physical well-being.
Juicy.
Yeah, and we're not seeing the conversations around that. So we've been working to bring those conversations to the forefront the same way they want to bring in different medications and treatments and therapies and stuff. And exactly what you said, like I was always so surprised, especially when I was a younger person, and I couldn't even talk to my doctor about sex. I had to go to a urologist, and before, like when we were first dating, I went to the doctor for something. I ended up having an erection that lasted for hours and hours, and it was incredible pain. And I called up my regular doctor, and I couldn't even say it out loud. I was so embarrassed, but I was in agony. I was like, it was the worst pain in the world. And finally, they got what I was trying to say because I couldn't just say it outright. And then like, okay, come down here now. By the time I got there, the practice was closed, so they couldn't see me. So then they said, we need you to go to the emergency room because you could literally lose functioning in your penis.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, shit. So then I have to go. And I was trying to wait until it went away. And then I figured they could diagnose it after. And then the nurse practitioners and them are like, having an erection for 6 hours or 9 hours or whatever it was is like really damaging. You can permanently damage your penis. Get down there and go see the doctor. And it was such a mess that I couldn't talk about it, but I was all that internalized shame I had learned. And then, being Black and related to sex, I had even more as a different type of thing where you're looked at as a predator. And so I was just terrified. And I was like the opposite of comfortable. And then fast forward, and now I'm talking about with the doctors, and it's so wild to notice shame on the other side of the conversation from the person in the white coat who you just assume will just talk about sex so easily. I'm like, well, I get why I was ashamed.
Either they come off ashamed or they dismiss the importance of it.
Yes.
The value of it, which is crazy because it's important and necessary.
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely agree. And were you going to say something?
Go ahead. Continue your thought.
No.
Going in a new direction.
Okay. Well, then I was going to say, and I want to like co-sign what you said about filming yourself. That is one thing we did a hell of a lot of. Like I wish, like when we moved to Atlanta from the Northeast, we ended up shredding everything because we just did. But
no, that's such a shame because we have. I'm terribly blank on the name, but we have these wonderful Make Love Not Porn stars who, what they shared was they're an older couple, and so they were honeymooners back in like the 70s, I guess. And so they've shared their archive on Make Love Not Porn.
That is so dope.
It's black and white. It's them as these really young things. They're lovely, lovely videos. And
that's
they
awesome.
Us, and they said we have all these videos, and from our youth, and it's so great to have a place to share them. So
that is awesome.
Also share, archives from their younger years as well.
That is such a cool idea.
That's really cool.
Thought of that.
Like all vintage.
Man, we missed out.
Ours was all VHS and all of that.
By the way, I'll get my curation team to remind me who they were, and I'll send you a link to their profile because honestly, they are just they're fantastic.
That is really, really cool. It is wild to look back at those old pictures though and be like, damn. That's but it's also nice to like be like damn and like love the past version but be very happy about the present as well.
Yeah,
I love
we've been talking about doing some new stuff because we're like, he just turned 50, I'm turning 50 in a couple of years. We're like, in 10 years we are going to look very different, and we're going to like miss that we don't have anything from like the last,
Yeah,
25,
yeah,
30 years. So
Yeah.
we need to document some things.
yeah. No, absolutely,
It definitely
absolutely.
changes
Yeah,
you. And I'm like, I got a cinema camera now. Now I can really like
yeah.
instead of the
Gotta
old
have fun.
VHS handy
Mm,
cam. What were you gonna say?
I
Because I
was
cut
just
you off.
I was gonna ask about Make Love Not Porn Academy and what is
mm,
the difference
mm.
between that and when is that launching?
Sure. So, MakeLoveNotPorn Academy is basically a response to the fact that parents and teachers began reaching out to me from day one of Make Love Not Porn, begging me for the 0 to 18 and beyond sex education extension of what we do. And so I had the idea for Make Love Not Porn Academy 10 years ago, which is how long investors have refused to fund it, which is why I couldn't make it happen sooner. But I conceived it along the same lines as Make Love Not Porn, user-generated, crowdsourced, curated revenue share, because I'm not about reinventing the wheel. We are building an aggregator hub for the best of the world's sex education content that is already out there, but is being blocked, censored, and deplatformed everywhere.
I love that.
So our mission at Make Love Not Porn Academy is to organize the world's sex education information to make it universally accessible and useful. That is a deliberate paraphrase of Google's original mission statement. Organize the world's information to make it universally accessible and useful,
Oh,
because
okay.
today in this area, Google is not doing that.
Oh no,
The
they're also
algorithm,
suppressing results now.
it's exactly. Yeah, the algorithm is censoring. Parents and teachers tell me all the time that when they search for the resources they need, they cannot find them. And so we are building the Google of sex ed
That's
at
awesome.
MakeLoveNotPorn.academy. So I was finally able to make this happen by raising a small amount of equity crowdfunding last year, raising a bit of bridge funding. And so where we're at is a very exciting stage. We have just completed the minimum viable product build of the Academy platform. We are currently buttoning down terms and conditions, putting everything in place. We have over 100 educators on standby. And so in a few weeks' time, we're going to be able to invite them into the private beta so they can populate the Academy platform with free to access content plus products they want to sell, books, webinars, courses, and then we'll take it live. I confidently predict that it's going to be like herding cats, getting the educators to get everything up. So I don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
I can't, so I can't give you a date. But the great thing about the Academy, by the way, is that it's for everybody. It's entirely safe for work. It's all education, so
That
there's
was going to be
nothing.
my next question.
Yeah, there's nothing explicit there. But like Make Love Not Porn, we are operating our unique model of what I call the human curation layer on top of the internet. Our curation team vets every educator, every piece of content for the Academy to make sure it's safe, we endorse it. And, like Make Love Not Porn, our curation criteria are very broad. So on Make Love Not Porn, your video has to be legal, consensual, and real. Beyond that, anything goes. We exist to celebrate the full glorious spectrum of human sexuality. On the Academy, your content must be educational, fact-based, and non-judgmental, and then we'll take it. And
Ooh.
so,
I
yeah,
love that.
the launch is not far off, and so, fingers crossed, we'll be able to go live a bit later on this year.
That
Nice.
is awesome. Congratulations. How do people, how do creators, like say us, is it open to folks to apply to get their content on there? And what do we do?
Absolutely. I mean, just email curators at Make Love Not Porn. We welcome all educator approaches, and also, by the way, what I intend with the Academy is I want it to be a safe space where educators can make the kind of content they've always wanted to, but have not so far because otherwise there's nowhere to distribute it and promote it. And I'll give you one example, which I'm very keen to see happen. So I've said to my team that when we launch Make Love Not Porn Academy, I want the center of gravity to be 0 to 18, because that's where education is most desperately needed right now by parents and teachers and schools. And, for young children, age-appropriate sex education is usually targeted at the parents first and foremost. But imagine cocoa melon for sex education. Okay, and when I say that to parents, they go, "Oh my God, yes, I would love to be able to like sit my kid down, give them an iPad, play something which could then be the springboard for a conversation between the two of us about what they've just watched." But at the moment, nobody's creating that content because grooming, paedophile, all of that ridiculousness. And so I want the Academy, as I say, to be a safe space where educators can make any kind of education they want, because we will absolutely enable it to reach an audience.
That is so awesome. The state of sex ed being so bad, it being abstinence only versus medically accurate, science backed, statistically aware, is really sad. And the reality is, it seems as though the folks most crowing about keep it out of schools and that's, grooming, are also the very same people who refuse to teach their children about sex. The reality is, like, we know from the data, kids who don't get proper sex ed and don't use actual proper body part names and aren't aware of them are more at risk of being exploited by predators who take advantage of their innocence, their naivete, and the ignorance that they have around sexuality, that their parents don't even teach them, what is your anatomy, what is a penis or a vulva, and that kind of thing, and what's
Exactly.
appropriate. And they're putting those kids at risk, and they don't need to be in that position.
Exactly. So two things about the Academy. The first is, I'm hoping that when we take this live, I can break down some of those barriers, because the people currently keeping sex education out of schools, they don't know what it'd be like if they allowed it in. They just know it'd be really, really bad. In their heads, they have this abstract concept of Sodom and Gomorrah will ensue.
Yep.
When the Academy goes live, and I can show you what doesn't exist anywhere else, which is the best of the world sex education content all in one place, and when you can see for yourself at a glance how brilliant, informative, educational, healthy, and non-threatening it is, when you can search it by age appropriateness, by cultural sensibility, because we will have Christian sex ed, Jewish sex ed, Muslim sex ed, and importantly, you can search it by personal comfort level. We're just bringing all this together. You can pick and choose. You decide what's
That's
right
awesome.
for your family, your classroom, your school. That is when I think I can help get sex ed into schools. I'm building this outside the system to get it into the system.
That's awesome.
And importantly also, we are designing the Academy so that children and young people can access sex education without parental teacher gatekeeping. And the reason that's important is, I tell this anecdote. I have a friend who's a mother, and as you have to these days, she monitors her kids' browsing history. So this happened a few years ago. Her son was 8 years old, and she saw to a horror that on the family computer, he had Googled sex for children. So she freaked out, but did the right thing, stayed calm, sat him down, darling, I happen to see, talk me through why. And this anecdote is adorable and horrifying in equal measure, because her son wanted to learn about sex.
Yep.
He was a child. He knew he was a child. He wanted to learn about sex in a child-appropriate way.
Yep.
He sweetly, innocently Googled sex for children. You can imagine what came back after traumatized.
Oh, no.
And so we are designing the Academy so that on the homepage, an 8-year-old boy can enter his age, or a parent can enter it for him, and we will only serve age-appropriate educational content.
Oh, Cindy, that is so fucking dope. That's exactly the way it should be and should have been a long ass time ago. I know Joycelyn Elders, when she was a Surgeon General way back in the 90s.
In regard to masturbation, I think that is something that it's a part of human sexuality, and it is a part of something that perhaps should be taught. But we've not even taught our children the very basics. And I feel that we have tried ignorance for a very long time. And it's time we try education.
She was advocating for doing sex ed the way it should have been done. And imagine how many challenges we would not be dealing with today had that happened back then. Thank you for doing this work. I appreciate it.
I just have one really quick last question too. It just reminded me of an experience you just told me about the other day. Um, um, Somebody at a conference was telling you that they wanted to teach their kid about condoms,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
brought them to a store to buy condoms, and their partner did not want them to.
And they did it anyway.
Yeah, and they did it anyway. But in those cases where parents are divided on how maybe they should approach these subjects with their kids or approach this type of content, do you have any advice for the parent who's leaning very strongly toward the kids need to know, but the other parent is maybe like, not from me?
Yep. No, I mean, when we launched the academy, give your children access to Make Love Not Porn Academy, and something to bear in mind. So the number of things are very unique about what we're doing with the academy. I mean, first, there's nothing like this exists anywhere. Secondly, I think quite often when people hear the word sex education, it sounds quite boring. We have a phenomenal lineup of educators, many of whom, by the way, are Gen Z, because Gen Z wants to educate its own generation. And they're coming at this from so many different angles. I think people will be blown away by how vibrant and colorful and dynamic and energetic and innovative and creative all of the different educators and work that we're going to bring together on the Academy are. Then, very importantly, we are making sure we have the most cutting edge education on there, because the pace of education, and quite frankly, the pace of parental teacher understanding, has not kept up with the pace of technology and the societal evils that are resulting. So we have education about sextortion, intimate image abuse, AI chatbot usage, which is exploding amongst kids and young people in romantic sexual contexts.
Growing concern about artificial relationships showing up in schools around the state.
Students apparently are using AI chatbots for relationships that can quickly spiral out of control.
And what's also important is the way that we're doing this, because there's a reason our name is Make Love Not Porn. We frame everything through the lens of love. Make Love Not Porn, as it currently exists, is love in action. The Academy will be education through love. Because I've been saying for years to parents, educate kids about sex as early as possible. But I've also said you must educate them about love. Love is such a foundational societal construct. We leave it to popular culture to define. And we should not do that, because right now, kids are growing up as much through screens as IRL. They're doing the most of their communication through screens, which makes IRL interactions, anxiety inducing and, insecure. Kids are stumbling across porn at the age of 6. They are forming relationships with AI chatbots that are friction-free and tell them exactly what they want to hear. What is getting lost in all of that is the joy, the connection, the friction, the heartbreak, and when you're old enough, the expression through sex of first love. And so we are framing all of this in education about love, intimacy, relationships, connection. Whereas, as you know, like school or other programs just go, here are the mechanics, here are the logistics. And so this is holistic education through the lens of love.
That is exactly what we need a hell of a lot more of.
Yes, I love it. I love love. I'm a sucker for love.
Yeah, same. I can't believe we are literally like we've reached. Yeah, it feels like I got a million more questions for you. So, the last question, I'm going to wrap it up. How do you, Cindy Gallop, sex, tech, and chill?
Honestly, the answer to that, quite frankly, is that I do not. And the reason I say that, guys, is because honestly, and you know this, as a SexTech founder, my life is daily stress and anxiety. Staring down the end of my financial runway, trying to raise funding, getting debanked 3 times in 2 months, as we did earlier this year. There is no chill about anything that I'm doing currently. I very much hope there will be. I'm working very hard to get to the point where I cannot wait to exhale. But that is literally what it feels like.
Yeah.
Every day is stress and anxiety right now. And I hope I will get to the point where that will no longer be the case.
Yeah, the same. I think about what is going on right now in the world around us, and it is concerning. I think the opportunity in all of this is that more of us are going to realize that we need to stand up, band together, work as a collective to ensure that we don't lose any more of the rights and access that we have. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us and have this conversation. It has been such an honor for us. Yeah. Thank you so much, Cindy. So we'll catch y'all next time. And Cindy, we hope that where can folks find you before I forget? I can't believe that's just a brand new type of thing.
Yep. So listeners, I very much hope our conversations inspired you to go to MakeLoveNotPorn.com, sign up and subscribe. Starts at $10 a month, very affordable. Please go to MakeLoveNotPorn.Academy. You will see a place to enter your email, and we will then notify you when the Academy launches. And you can find me on Instagram and X at Cindy Gallop at MakeLoveNotPorn. You can follow me on LinkedIn, and do also sign up for and subscribe to my newsletter on Substack, Dear Cindy, where I answer a question a week, which can be about anything: sex, love, relationships, food, business, technology, sex tech, whatever.
Awesome. And I'm sure they will. And I love your content on LinkedIn. That's where I've lately been hanging out, is kind of like my spot too. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something like, for my own ego. If y'all would love to see us on Make Love Not Porn, please let us know.
Is that for my own ego?
For my own ego.
I just needs to know.
I just needs to know.
No.
I got the vapors. The vapors.
Don't encourage him, y'all.
No, but seriously, if you'd love to see our content on Make Love Not Porn, let us know. Let Cindy know. Let their squad know.
Okay.
You know what I'm thinking.
Stop it.
Sherri, you're like looking sideways.
Stop it. We got other things to
Stop
do.
it. Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all.